There were a million reasons why the Buffalo Bills upset the Baltimore Ravens in a heartbreaker to advance to the AFC Championship. Everyone's talking about Mark Andrews' dropped two-point conversion and Lamar Jackson's lost fumble. But what is the real reason the Bills won? Stay into the end because it's gonna blow your mind. Before I get to the real reason, here are three sort of real reasons why the Bills won. First, the Bills' offense. Now, they weren't as explosive as Taco Bell diarrhea, but they were efficient and did their part. Allen was relatively quiet this game, throwing for 127 yards with no passing touchdowns. However, Allen made some big plays with his legs, including a crucial 4th and 2 conversion on the first drive and 2 rushing touchdowns. The best thing about Allen's game was what he didn't do, which was turn the ball over. Allen had 0 interceptions and 0 fumbles, unlike someone else, Lamar Jackson. And Allen only took 1 sack against the top-ranked rushing defense. Kudos to Allen for being extremely clutch in the playoffs and proving that he doesn't need to be the MVP every game, he just needs to make the smartest decisions to keep the ball safe. James Cook also had a solid performance, especially considering he was going up against the Ravens' top-ranked run defense. Cook ran for 67 yards on 17 carries to keep the chains moving and kept the Ravens' defense busy. And shout out to breakout star Ray Davis, who rushed on 4 carries for 29 yards. Davis had clutch back-to-back first down rushes, as well as a rushing touchdown right after the Ravens scored theirs. Wow, what a block by wide receiver number 1 Shakir. He really put in the dirty work, as Romo said. Cook and Davis ran hard, which allowed the Bills to control the clock with ease, holding the ball for 31-44 compared to the Ravens' 28-16. And last but not least, shout out to Ty Johnson for putting the nail in the Ravens' coffin by selflessly sliding to run out the rest of the clock. That was awesome, bro. Johnson's run was proof that even if Andrews caught that 2-point conversion, the Bills still had plenty of momentum and plenty of time to march down the field and score a field goal with the time expiring, so the Ravens would have been screwed anyways. The second reason the Bills won was the defense stepped up big and limited Derrick Henry to 84 rushing yards on 16 attempts and just 1 rushing touchdown. Now compare that to the last game where he had 199 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. What a difference. Sure, Henry had his way with the Bills defense in the second half, but overall, he was just a minor character with limited screen time, which is an amazing difference compared to the last time where the Bills D got cooked. I said it in my prediction that the Bills defense would limit Henry and Jackson, and I was right. Suck it, haters who said that I had no idea what I was talking about. Clearly, you had no idea what you were talking about. When your entire offense revolves around one player, it's pretty easy to game plan a counter strategy. Just ask Stephon Diggs. It's funny to look back at what the media said before they knew the Ravens were gonna lose. My favorite was when Coach Sean McDermott quoted what the media said about the Bills all week.
Our guys, they heard it all week long. We're not big enough, we're not strong enough, not talented enough. Whatever it is, they heard it.
Well, guess what? Turns out the media also didn't know what they were talking about. Who would have thought that if you minimize Henry, you force the game onto Jackson, who's gonna make a bunch of mistakes? The media and Ravens fans took the Bills for a bunch of fools and losers. Well, guess who's headed to Cancun now? I also want to remind everyone that in the first quarter, Henry also had a WTF drop on a wide open pass with nobody around him that would have been an easy first down. But nobody's talking about that because it had 0 consequences. However, it's still hilarious and was the first sign of the Ravens' weakness. Oh, and as I was going through the highlights, I realized that Henry had another drop in the second quarter on 3rd and goal. Now that play was mostly due to Taron Johnson with his awesome tackling abilities, but it's still a drop, so Henry is a major factor why the Ravens had to settle for a field goal that drive. And the third reason the Bills won was because of Lamar Jackson. He made 3 fatal errors, which I am happy to bring up over and over and over again. The first was obviously the inexplicable interception directly to Taylor Rapp. That wasn't even close to Bateman, who I assume was his intended target. Even look at Bateman, he was pissed. One would have thought Jackson mistook Rapp for a Raven. The second and most costly of Lamachoke's mistakes was the lost fumble. Thanks to Damar freaking Hamlin, who capitalized on Jackson's panic by strip sacking him, allowing Von Miller to earn his $120 million contract by scooping up the fumble and running it all the way to the Ravens' 22-yard line. That fumble directly turned what would have been a potential +7 for the Ravens into a +7 for the Bills. Thank you very much. You can't win playoff games when your version of the MVP turns the ball over like that. The Bills defense deserves a ton of applause for creating those turnovers and capitalizing on those mistakes. They were relentless all night, and they made Jackson extremely uncomfortable in the pocket, just like I predicted they would. Oh, and to all the Damar Hamlin haters calling all his plays Make-A-Wish plays, don't you wish Jackson wouldn't have fumbled away the Ravens' chances of winning the game? Who's laughing now, bitch? And Lamar's third mistake was allowing Matt Milano to get just the tip on the Ravens' first 2-point conversion attempt, causing it to hilariously flop in front of, oh, Andrews. Lamar actually made another mistake in the third quarter on 3rd and 17 when he threw to Bateman knowing that he probably wouldn't be able to get the first. Shout out to Milano for decking Bateman. That was badass. Milano was directly responsible for the Ravens having to settle for yet another field goal on that drive. Speaking of Andrews, before I reveal the real reason why the Bills won, there's a fourth reason that I kept from you. Mark Andrews. How could I forget about the game MVP? Andrews had 2 fatal errors that I am glad to talk about. Nothing personal, just doing my job. Andrew's first mistake wasn't really his fault. It was just that Bernard was just that good at punching the ball out and landing on top of it like a pro. Bernard was amazing on that play and showed why his absence was a major factor in the last matchup, no matter how much salty Ravens fans tried to downplay it. Now, Andrew's second mistake, that was 50% on him. Epic foreshadowing. Lamar had gift wrapped the for sure / go ahead / doesn't get any easier than this 2-point conversion to a wide open Andrews after completely fooling the Bills D, and Andrews still dropped it. Like, how the hell do you even explain that? Don't worry, I'm getting to that too. In the great words of Tony Romo,
you gotta catch that all day. It's shocking. That's caught 999 out of 1,000.
But Eddie Chang, you only said Andrews was 50% of the problem. What's the other 50%? Was it Jackson? Harbaugh? While both Andrews and Jackson royally screwed up this game, neither was the real reason why the Bills won. Although if I had to put my finger on who was more to blame, it would be Jackson, because the Ravens MVP turned the ball over multiple times when he shouldn't have. And Andrews shouldn't have even been in that position with the game on the line for the 2-point conversion, because Jackson should have protected the ball better. Now, the real reason why the Bills won was, drumroll please, due to the Bills' newfound black magic. Yes, you were thinking it, I had the balls to say it. What's up? You heard it here first, folks. Actually, you heard it here second, because Better mentioned Bills' black magic on Twitter before I talked about it now. Kudos to Better. The Bills now have black magic that is on par with that of the Chiefs. I can't believe God has blessed the Bills this much. I thought only the Chiefs were this lucky. So in reality, it actually wasn't Henry's or Jackson's or Andrew's fault at all. Am I being sarcastic here? Who really knows? Henry limited to under 100 yards and an uncharacteristic drop early, Bills black magic. Jackson throws an interception and loses a fumble, Bills black magic. Andrews loses a fumble and drops a for sure 2-point conversion with the game on the line, Bills black magic. After Jackson threw the 2-pointer, the Bills cast black magic on the ball right as it hit Andrews' hands, causing the ball to repel with the force of 1,000 suns, or as my friend Nikolai says,
Like the fist of Stalin up your ass.
And then the ball hilariously hit the ground to give the Bills the dub and hilariously crush Ravens' souls. One could even argue that the Bills were extra cautious and cast black magic on the Ravens' onside kick to ensure that everyone on the Ravens would be unable to get to the ball before Rasul Douglas. By the way, give Rasul Douglas his flowers and street cred for jumping on that ball, because if he that up, we would be having a very different conversation right now in a completely different NFL multiverse. Go Bills!